This is the beautiful, amazing Princess Lockaroo, and she happens to be my whacking instructor. Whacking is generally referred to as a form of street dance, along with breakdancing, popping, rocking, hip-hop, and house. I personally consider whacking a club dance because it didn't originate in the streets the way breakdancing did, but in the underground discos on the west coast of the United States during the late 1960s to the early 1970s. Whacking was danced to disco music. That's how the genre evolved. And not just any disco music, but to extended versions of disco music imported from Europe. As you can see, the main characteristic of whacking is arm movement that punctuates the beat of the music and periodic posing reminiscent of another dance genre that came along about 15 years after whacking, voguing. Voguing is more static, however, and evolved from house music, not disco. I first saw whacking a few years ago and loved it, but never got the chance to take a class until about a year ago. So for my how-to video, I will show you basic whacking motions with the arms: a single arm whack, a double arm whack, and a so-called whack attack.
So what I'm going to first go over is the most basic whacking motion, which is a single whack. We don't really have very technical technology. It's kind of, you don't see it, but this is pretty descriptive. And this is a single whack. So to do a single whack, you throw your arm forward. So you kind of throw your arm forward from the shoulder. So it's not a static movement where you kind of put your arm out. You throw your arm forward. Then you curl your elbow in, and you keep curling it until it kind of points to the ceiling, and your wrist is about, in your shoulder area, and you kind of uncurl it. Keep the movement going, but you're uncurling it upward. So you just uncurl it upward, and then you curl it again, kind of a twisting motion backward, until you kind of hit your shoulder and you recoil up, curl in again, you curl down again and kind of reverse what you did, and you move back. And that's how you do a basic single whack. Double arm whack is basically the same as single arm whack, except you do both hands at the same time. And they still, they stay on either side of your body. So double arm whack is, okay, so same concept as single arm. You roll both arms, you swing both arms forward, roll it in to the shoulder, wrist into the shoulder, elbows up about as far as you can get them. You uncurl the arms up to the ceiling, then you curl them back under to kind of hit your shoulder and rebound up. Then you curl them in again to the shoulder, bring the elbows into the body, curl the wrists back down to the floor. Curl up, back, curl in, and down. And that's the double arm whack. So the next kind of basic whacking motion I'll show you is what's called the whack attack by some people. Like I said before, there's really no technical term at the moment for a lot of these movements. Different teachers will call it different things. A whack attack is usually done maybe around the chorus of a song, or where the song kind of picks up tempo and it's very repetitive. But it's a lot of fun to learn and a lot of fun to do. So Waack attack is where you switch from right to left arm, and you do a regular single whack, but instead of coming straight down on that side, you kind of whack back, you bring it over to your opposite shoulder, then you roll it back down. So you kind of frame your face and then roll it down. So you kind of alternate arms, and usually the movement is not done standing still. Most of whacking isn't done standing still anyway, but your legs move as well. So you kind of move backward or you move forward as you do in your whack attack. So I'll just kind of go through it. So you just kind of do the motion as if you're doing a single whack. And then when you bring your arm forward again, you bring it forward so that it frames your face and your fingers touch your opposite shoulder. Then you wrist roll and you bring it down on that side. And you alternate to the other side and you do the same thing. And if you notice, I'm kind of moving backward as I'm doing it because for the most part, that's how a whack attack is done. So as your arm recoils up, you don't bring it straight up, but you kind of bring it in a 45-degree angle around your face, and you roll it down. Okay, so like I mentioned before, whacking is a dance form that was created in response to the advent of disco music in the late 60s and 1970s. Nowadays, people do whacking to various dance forms. You'll more likely see them do whacking to house music. There are some people who do it to hip-hop, R&B. You can basically do it to anything. However, I'm going to do a demonstration of those three basic movements that I showed you previously to a disco song. You'll recognize this from the soundtrack of Saturday Night Fever. Just so you get a feel of what whacking is supposed to be in its purest form. So